Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Brass Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Christian, and alongside me is
Espen.
And today we wanted to mix it up a little bit and talk about something that we both find very, very interesting, and that's the art of Magic the Gathering. So, Espen, I want to pose the question to you. What does art in general mean to you?
Art is, it's really interesting to me because you get to see how people, how they imagine things in their mind, and it's really cool to see how they might portray like a certain like creature or like like a certain event or like a certain person, and just it's just all around like fascinating and like I just really appreciate like the skills and like what people like what they put onto a canvas. It's just really cool. What do you think, or how does art in general make you feel?
So I am the most unartistic person probably on planet Earth. My high school art teacher once told me that I had stupid hands. And that's actually a true story. That old lady told me I had stupid hands because of I just cannot draw. But I wish I could. And it's kind of the same feelings that you have is it makes me kind of go in a deep thought of, wow, it's really thought-provoking. A lot of art in general really piques my interest in like how they view humanity. And last term at college, I took a history of Asian art class, and just seeing Eastern art was extremely interesting, and it made me really appreciate more about what we're going to talk about today, because there's so many different styles of art, so many cultures interpret art in different ways.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, art in general is just a really, really fascinating thing, and something that I wish that I could have the skills for. So, Espen, what does the art of magic mean to you? So we're getting a little more specific. So what does that mean to you?
Art and magic, what it means to me, just like certain art styles, they kind of reflect of like my play style, or like some of my favorite colors, like a lot of cards that have black or green in them I just love, because those are the colors in Magic that I really align with. Like some of my decks in blue as well, is just like each card to me has like a different meaning, and a huge impact is the colors, the where the setting is, what plane they're on. It's just art and magic is a big thing for me, and sometimes I build around decks that like show some like really cool art. So I'm like, you know what, I want to play this card because I love how it looks. I love how like interesting it might be, and yeah, it's just really cool.
It's ironic. Well, I don't want to say it's ironic, kind of coincidental, more like the channel here, Brass Gaming. The name that I came up with was from the card Brassman, because I love the art so much. And before this episode, and you'll see in our last episode about the Keranos deck, you'll see some artwork we had commissioned by your girlfriend's uncle, and it really, first off, I love the style he did, and secondly, like, I am obsessed with Brassman, and we'll get into our favorite card arts later, but it's like the art of that by Christopher Rush meant so much to me that I wanted to honor it in the name of my YouTube channel and in the name of my business. And it's just my way of just giving back and appreciating to such a good community of like artists. And so Magic art is, like you said, each set is like every single set since like, I could even tell you when, even like the Urza's block, everything feels like it fits together. Like maybe some of the alpha, beta, unlimited, revised stuff, some of that artwork can seem a little bit randomish, but from like the Urza's block forward, it seems like all the cards really fit whatever theme that they're trying to go to. And it's very aesthetically pleasing. And there's nothing more that I appreciate than the work that these Magic artists do. And we'll get in a little bit later about what we do to like pay homage and appreciation to them. And I think one way already we set off the bet is I named the YouTube channel that we have right now and the podcast after Christopher Rush's Brassman. may he rest in peace, of course. He passed away not too long ago, but it's been a while. So, Espen, we talked about what we feel, but what do you think the art of Magic means to the game in general? Like, what do you think? Yeah, just what do you think it means to the game? Like, does it what does it do for the game?
Well, one of my favorite parts of the game actually is the story that like some of the cards tell, and that is heavily impacted of the art of the card. I believe in War of the Spark there were a few cards that went together with like Gideon fighting Nicol Bolas. Like you could look at the artwork and not only were the artworks really cool, but it helped tell a story of like of how they fought and just a storytelling. Being able to tell a story through art is just amazing, and the fact that like each Magic card has like a small little story that like, or at least most of them do, that like you can follow along with it. It's just so cool, and the way that they like how they show off the plane that the set is in. It's just really cool and really fascinating, and one of my favorite parts of the game for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And they even started with these story spotlight cards. I think Kaladesh block, they started that, where they started highlighting specific cards with artwork that related directly to the story. And I think that's a very important part about Magic is the lore and story. And I know countless players that, while they're more casual players, they really are invested in the story. And whether that's gone downhill or not is, it's not for us to decide, but I just think the lore behind the characters, like, some of us like very specific characters. For example, one of my favorite characters in Magic the Gathering is Ob Nixilis, and we'll have an artwork up on screen of him. I like characters that, I hate to say evil for the sake of being evil, but Ob Nixilis is a pretty bad dude.
Yeah.
But his backstory and his lore, and like from his commander card where he's a human, into the story that came with that product that tells of the deal he made and how he got transformed into a demon and got trapped on Zendikar. I mean, it's very interesting, and just seeing the evolution of his card from the fall on Nixilis the Fallen, or the Fallen, I think is what it's called, to when he reignites his spark and becomes a planeswalker again. It's absolutely interesting. And I think that's the important part of the story of the story about Magic is the art, because even if we can't connect with the lore, everyone can connect with a piece of artwork. And I don't think there's any Magic player out there that doesn't have a favorite art, that doesn't have something about the game art-wise that they like. It's very hard to play a game with no art that's not aesthetically pleasing to you. The game can be fun and interactive, but if there's no artwork to it,
like, what's the point? It's just like it kind of would be bland at that point without art.
Very bland, and that's why there's certain like board card games that, like, the artwork just doesn't really resonate with me. And the nice thing about Magic, the story that it tells, is that there's so many different themes. Like we're in Theros going to next, and I'm pretty sure pre-release would have just happened or is happening the weekend this is going up. Not 100% sure, because for you guys that didn't know, we record about 2 episodes a week, so we have to schedule studio time, and it's a whole process. But we schedule 2 episodes. We record 2 episodes a week, so we try to make sure we're relevant with what's going on right now. But we're going to Theros, which has a very Greek and Roman theme to it. Amonkhet had a very Egyptian theme to it. There was Kaladesh, which had a very like steampunk, very metallic theme to it. Innistrad, which has a very H.P. Lovecraft theme to it, where it's very dark and sinister. I could go on and on about the sets that have these themes, and I think that's a very, very... I think a big part about people deciding what sets they love and what cards they love is like their experience with it. Like, maybe you like something that's a little more lighthearted and happy, while I like something that's a little bit more dark and sinister.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm not saying that's true between us both, because we both like a fair share of both, but I think it's important to remember that this episode is purely our opinions. We're talking about the arts that we love, the themes we love, some flavor text we love, and we just want to hear from you guys also. Like, we would appreciate it also if you guys like, share, subscribe, comment, because we would love to hear what your guys' favorite art is, what your favorite set is, what your favorite flavor text is, because all this is very important to our experience of the game. And I think that's what helps us build, I mean, the community. Like, there's communities built around the artwork of Magic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think that's such an important part of the game. And no matter what the medium is, art is something that connects us all. And I think that's very, very important. So again, we'd love if you guys like, share, subscribe, and commented. We would love to hear your opinions on what your favorite art is. So going forward, so we wanted to highlight some of the artworks that's our favorite. And obviously my number one favorite art of all time is Brassman. And we'll put the Brassman up on screen. And just so I can visualize it a bit, I'll grab this here. So some of you may be asking, you like it so much you named your podcast and your YouTube channel after it. Well, why? Honestly, I don't know. There's just something about this artwork that really just resonates with me.
Yeah.
Like, Christopher Rush is probably my favorite artist in general, next to Andrea Radek. And their styles are completely different.
Mm-hmm.
But the Brassman art is just so... He's so intimidating looking, I guess. He's got that broken part in his mask where you can see his eye, and it's a little bit eerie, a little bit creepy, and I just love the color. The old artifact frame from Arabian Nights is, it's very brownish and very light brownish, and the card's got like the brassy brown feel to it. It's just cool to me. Like, it's so hard to explain why I love this card so much, because why I love this art so much, because it's so basic and simple, but it's so, just something about it really resonates with me. And maybe it's because it's a little bit creepy. Maybe it's because I can see myself as the Brassman being this guy that's stranded in this desert and, has a little chip in his armor. But, so Espen, what is your favorite artwork of all time?
So my favorite artwork of all time is a card called Demonic Consultation. And fun fact, when I first started playing Magic, my mom bought me just a box of cards, and Demonic Consultation was one of those cards that just always intrigued me. Like the attention to detail is just insane, and it looks so very cool. And like this is kind of like a little like eerie, kind of spooky vibe coming from the card, and it just really piques my interest seeing them over like a black hole, either like summoning something or talking to a demon, as per the name goes. And it's just one of those things that I'm like, I'm very curious how people like thought of some of these things, and just like seeing how like they have like virtually no like clothes on except like from the waist down, and it's in this like winter setting. Since this card was from Ice Age, of course, that makes sense. But it's just kind of like, that I wonder what was going through the mind. This was done by Rob Alexander, who I got this shadow sign at Magic Fest Columbus. Thank you. And it's just really cool, and I've just always loved this card. And to be honest, for a long time I didn't know what it did, but like, hey, it didn't matter. I just love the art of the card, and just like the feeling that it gives you, and just like how it has this like mysterious, like you don't really know what's going on, but you know that there's something powerful and like spooky going on at the time. It's just this really cool feeling that like it's really hard to explain, but I know that whenever I play this card, I never get bored of playing this card, and it's probably just because of the art and just going Demonic Consultation. It's just a really good and like powerful feeling, and it's just this like random card that like, I don't know, I really enjoy the art. It makes me feel really special when I play it.
And I think this highlights a really like thing that Magic the Gathering does very, very, very well, is the card names feel like they match the artwork. like when I think of demonic consultation, and I'm not the very autistic person, I can, if I were to make a very base, like what that would be like, it would be very similar to what Rob Alexander did on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the same was with like Brassman is when I think of Brassman, obviously I might have a different of what the Brassman would look like, but I think it would be very similar to what Christopher Rush did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very awesome that Magic artists and the Wizards of the Coast team is very, very well at like saying, hey, this is what we envision the card is. Mm-hmm. Can you make our vision a reality? Mm-hmm. And well, they do that, and they do it very well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And these cards evoke a lot of emotion, mm-hmm. and as you can tell, like Espen's loves this card art.
I just love the art. I love the feeling that, and like I will probably keep this card for the rest of my life, even like 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. I'm always going to keep this card. I love the art. It's insane.
Fingers crossed Magic is still going then. Which I'm very optimistic, and I hope it does. Oh, but
me too. I'm excited to see more art
in a paper medium, at least.
Yeah.
Hopefully, paper Magic, and it keeps going.
Oh yeah.
But so to move forward, I had a tough time with this. I am a huge fan of Magic art in general, mm-hmm. and picking a second art was, I debated a few cards and a few artworks, mm-hmm. and thinking about my favorite modern deck that I play, Jund. I was looking at the art of that, and I'm like, I really love the theme of the Jund deck, and like kind of how everything seems like it goes together, like it just makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so I came across a card that is no longer really played in Jund, but I really love the art, and that's the original Ravnica Dark Confidant, otherwise known as Bob, because Bob Mayer was the designer of this card, and it was drawn in his likeness. What can I say about this card? It is just, it's just so cool, to say the least.
I'm not gonna lie. When I look at that art, I think of you, probably, because like I know that's your kind of art, in my opinion. This
is very. If you put Christian on a card, I think this Dark Confidant would be that card, and like the artwork of him wearing the intricate robing and the. I don't know what that creature's called from behind him, so if you guys know, leave it in the comments below. Mm-hmm. But him in this intricate robe and just having the subtle hand motions to holding the staff is just, it's absolutely breathtaking to me. And how detailed, from the makeup on his face to the intricacies on his robing, it's just absolutely astounding to me how well they drew this. And that doesn't astound me. What astounds me is how much detail and how much careful time went into making this in the likeness of someone. And I'm sure he's probably a big fan of Bob is, mm-hmm. the guy that this was made after. This card is just, and yes, it's got that ever classic flavor text, which we'll get to here in a little bit, but mm-hmm. yeah, this card, it feels like a me card. Jund is a very me deck. I went for a long time playing very, very degenerate decks. And like I said last episode, I was a big Dredge fan. But once I got on Jund and resolved my first Dark Confidant, I was like, oh, that just feels, that feels really, really good. This card just makes me happy when I play it, when it's on the battlefield. Like, just this art, it just makes me giddy. And this card, and it just so happens that it's on a very, very good card. Like, when I play this card, it's going to have an impact at some point. Unfortunately, when I play the Brassman, people are just going to laugh at me and say, hey, you're playing a little dork that doesn't even untap unless you pay mana. Well, I'm here to say Brassman is broken. Hashtag that. So, going forward, Espen, what would you say your second favorite art? Oh, and I want to highlight Ron Spears was the artist of Dark Confidant. I want to make sure he gets, you guys could find him. I want to make sure we credit him in the video. So, Espen, what is, now your second artwork that you have written down here?
Did it surprise you?
It surprised me. I knew you liked this art, but I didn't know you liked it to this extent. So, you want to go ahead and share it?
Yeah, so my favorite art is of Reliquary Tower, but not just the regular Reliquary Tower, but the one specifically done by Mark Poole, which I believe it's a F&M promo. from M19, I
Let
believe.
me take a look. Yeah, a league promo. It's a league promo. Yeah.
And I actually got it signed by Mark Poole also in Columbus recently.
And I pulled this up before the episode. It was kind of ironic that Espen's 2 favorite artworks, both of the artists were at the last Magic Fest we went to. So kind of weird, but go on.
Hey, it works. But just Reliquary Tower just has an awesome effect. But like this specific artwork, just like it just makes me feel like so excited to play it because like you feel sort of like this like freedom vibe around it, like nothing else is around it. It's just this tower in the middle of nowhere. You can see in the background there's like it looks like a city in the clouds almost like, and there's birds flying around it. So you know it's like isolated and like it's really hard to get to as you can see, and it just this feeling of like playing it. I just love the art style and especially the attention to detail of the architecture of the tower is just like, in my opinion, it's just breathtaking. And I love that the setting it's in, it just really, I just really love playing these cards. And the reason why I chose Demonic Exaltation and Reliquary Tower, it's just because these are the two artworks that when I play them, I just get super excited. It's just like you just played a Reliquary Tower. I'm like, yeah, but it's this one, and it's my favorite one, just because it just gives you that like special vibe, and you just feel like important or you feel special when you play this card. I mean, I don't have like, I just really like it. It's really cool.
It's so hard to convey like how it makes you feel because it's a very personal experience. Like. Yeah. You know, you might say, oh, well, they chose Reliquary Tower and Brassman. Well, it's just so, these artworks are so meaningful to us, which with the emotions that we get from seeing it. And it's really difficult to convey without gushing too much because, you know, we want to gush. Yeah. These artists are spectacular artists. They're phenomenal artists. Oh, yeah. And we just want to show our appreciation through this medium that say, hey, look, we love your art and we appreciate what you do for the card game because, you know, there's a lot of different Reliquary Tower arts, I believe. And I'm going to say this right now. I don't think Magic would be what it is if it weren't for some of the like fantastic artists for sure. I feel like that is like the biggest attraction for like part of Magic is just like the artwork, and it's just so insane. And like I said, like it might just be a Reliquary Tower, but it's just the artwork is just so beautiful in my opinion. So going forward, we wanted to also talk about now our favorite card arts may not be from these sets, but we want to talk about a couple sets that we really connect with, that we really like the theme of. And the set that I went with was Innistrad. So Innistrad's meaningful to me in multiple ways. Innistrad was the first set of Magic, the original set, was when I started playing competitively. I started playing Standard more often, and maybe at like not like tier 1 net decks, but I started going to FNMs more. And funny story, especially with Liliana of the Veil, on my birthday in July, I had a Liliana of the Veil at a local game store I went to in Flint, Michigan, and I found out that the guy was like, hey, we need to move this. I hear it's your birthday. Well, how about $20 for Liliana of the Veil? Now, this story was a lot more cool when Liliana was 100 plus, but it's still an expensive card, and I think it's cool that I got a Liliana of the Veil for $20 at one point in time. But Innistrad, why that the set theme is my favorite. It's dark. At that point in my life when I was playing it, the zombies meant a lot to me. Like just the creepiness of the zombies. Machias the Unhallowed was my favorite legendary creature for a long time. I thought his ability was cool. And even his transformation in that, he was Machias the Lunarch, and he became Machias the Unhallowed. And if you read the story, and I could be wrong, and I'm just trying to quote this from the top of my head, but the reason he died and became Unhallowed was because Stitcher Geralf brought him back to life. Oh, wow. I think that was the reason. It was either Stitcher or Geralf or Gulkal or Geese, so one of the two brought him back to life as like they were trying to stick it to the other sibling. And I think this is also pervasive because although I'm focused on Innistrad in general, the Shadows of Innistrad block was also very, very interesting. And it gave us Gisa and Giralf together, which I think their dynamic was very, very interesting. The brother-sister rivalry and trying to up one another with one's a ghoul caller, one's a stitcher. Their styles are so unique, and it's the zombies that really stick with me. And there is the werewolves, in particular one werewolf. And Espen, I know you're going to hate me because you're going to have to edit this card, but Huntmaster of the Fells. That artwork.
I like that card.
That artwork is absolutely stunning. The flip werewolves in the set. I remember when I was playing then, people were worried the game was going to die because, well, now we need sleeves to play because of the flip cards. And it was like, wow, this is a really pivotal point because people are legitimately worried about the future of Magic. And I think that's why Original Innistrad sticks with me, is just the unique features and the draft experience of Original Innistrad. Some say is the best draft set of all time. But I've gushed for too long. So, Espen, what is your favorite set theme?
So, my favorite set theme is the plane of Kaladesh. And I'm just going to say it here. I just love how in Kaladesh you can just do so many different things. Everything, like, synergizes. The artworks go well with each other. I just love how it's, like, steampunk, but, like, kind of, like, futuristic sort of, like, vibe. Because usually we don't really see that too often in Magic, and like the showing how like energy is, and like Aether also, like introducing that and everything, just looks just super cool. And how they use artifacts. I mean, I'm a big artifact Magic player in my opinion, and just the artifacts in that set are so cool, and the attention to detail in the world, and like to like all the different mechanical parts of everything. It's just really awesome, and it just looks really cool and pleasing. And I just love that world. I mean, with energy and with cards like Multiform Wonder, I love that card. And I believe it's Electrostatic Pummeler, yeah, played Boros Energy. I was still trying to get to competitive Magic, and that's what I started with, because I had the Red Gear Hulk and the White Gear Hulk. I was like, they're both mythics. I can make a deck with this. But back to the point, though, just how all the cards like looked, and just like the amount of detail that was in every single card, and just like in the whole set, and just like the whole like energy mechanic and everything. They're just super cool, and it just goes to like show that like they're like in like Magic you can build like anything. I think Kaladesh really showed that off with like all the synergies with the energy cards and whatnot, and I feel like the art also showed like how everything just like works together. All the general art style for like each card just melded well with one another, and it's just really cool. And I'm just a huge fan of Kaladesh.
When I think Kaladesh, masterpieces come to mind.
Oh yeah.
But my favorite card from Kaladesh, Aetherflux Reservoir, the Death Star. Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
How many times have you won with that?
A lot. More than I'd like to admit. That is, before we started playing a lot more CEDH, my favorite way to win was play Aetherflux Reservoir and just go off. And in the like casual competitive El Shatat build I had, my whole goal was to just El Shatat play the Aetherflux Reservoir, just cast Synthesize Divining Top off of the top of my deck over and over, and get that storm count up, and it was glorious. And as you said before, a lot of creatures died a miserable death.
Very miserable 50 points of damage.
Yeah. So moving on, and we wanted to talk about some of our flavor text. We each chose. We didn't want to go on and on about flavor text. We wanted to say, what is our number one flavor text? And so I mentioned earlier, we're going to get back to Dark Confidant. My favorite flavor text. Greatness at any cost. Very, very powerful words. So fitting of the Dark Confidant card that you pay life for greatness when you reveal a card with a converted mana cost, not a land. That those words to me, they kind of put a shiver up my spine because it's so powerful just hearing those words, greatness at any cost. Such strong words. You know, it's very hard to explain why those mean so much. It's just very, very strong. And to me it fits Dark Confidant in my playstyle so well, where in CEDH it's all about greatness at any cost. I may not pay a lot of life, but I do a lot of stuff and I go all out every CEDH deck I build. And that those words just mean so much to me. And I really like being a big power player, and that's kind of how I live my life, where it's greatness at any cost, but maybe not to like the crazy extent where I'm sacrificing stuff for greatness. But I think that's it for me. And so Espen, I know what I have on my script is different from what you have on your script because you changed your favorite flavor text. So what is your favorite flavor text of all time?
So my favorite flavor text of all time comes from Leovold, Emissary of Trust. And it is, I'm sure we can come to an agreement, which I'll just say that describes me as a commander player to a T. I'm always ready to making deals. I'm always like, you know what? We can eventually come to something. And actually that's how I kind of like live my life. If me or someone disagrees on something, I'll be like, hey, we can come to some sort of agreement. We can like try to work this out or make a compromise. And like, I just saw this, as you said today, I was like, wow, that like really describes me not just as a commander player, but like kind of as a person here and there. Like I'm like, hey, we can work something out, right?
Espen was sitting on the couch in the studio, and we were talking about the original flavor text he had was from the card Ib Half-Heart Goblin Tactician. And that flavor text says, everybody but me charge. And we were thinking, yeah, that's a very Espen, how he plays commander. But he says, I wonder if there's any flavor text that says about coming to an agreement, making deals. I look at him, I said, are you kidding me? There is one that fits you perfect now that I think about it. And that's Leovold. I was the degenerate that played the Leovold lock deck where you guys just don't draw cards and have no cards in hand, and I do. But yeah, Leovold, I think he'd be the perfect commander for you too. Like,
if I could play him,
if you could play him, if he was not banned, he would be the perfect commander. And then you play Tassiger and Moltroth, and that's like, well, those are like good seconds.
I'm a big like Sultai commander player. I mean, favorite color combination, but Leovold would just feel so very good to play. He was a very dirty degenerate boy. So so let's go ahead and head to the end of the episode now. And so we wanted to highlight the importance of artists in Magic the Gathering. And I think we've kind of gushed about them and given them, as much credit as we could, but just to break it down a little further, artists, we appreciate you. Us as players, we appreciate everything you guys do. So much.
And if you feel disenfranchised in anything, don't give up, because, and this goes to all artists, we love art in general, and we want you to stay on your path. And as to the Magic artists, you guys have created our childhood in our lives. Your artwork actually is such a big part of our lives that sometimes we kind of take it for granted and we don't like understand the full scope of, hey, this card means a lot to me. And so much art is nostalgic or sentimental, and the way that you guys all in general evoke so much emotion and so many strong positive feelings from the player base it's absolutely astounding. And some of us that don't have the skills only wish that we had the skills to be able to draw something that evokes a strong emotion, or people just go, wow, that's breathtaking. So Espen, is that pretty much what you'd say, or do you have anything else you want to add to that? Like, what does a Magic artist mean to you? Like
a Magic artist is just like almost like a hero. Like as I said before, Magic would not be Magic without you guys, and without like just a fantastic artist and like team of people that just like work on these cards, and like I'll continue saying it again and again. Just magic, or art makes magic what it is, and I'm just so grateful to have some amazing artists work on cards for a game that I really love and enjoy to play with my friends, and even competitively sometimes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're just so grateful for every artist in Magic.
Oh, there's not one artist that we're not appreciative for. You guys do an amazing job, and words cannot express how thankful we are that you guys take your time to do artwork for this card game that we love so much.
Oh yeah.
So we also want to talk about, well, how do we honor the artists? And so, well, there's various ways. Mm-hmm. Now, for maybe Magic Altar artists, I commission a lot. Maybe in a future episode, I'll show off some of the commissions I've gotten done from them. Mm-hmm. So there's various ways that you can honor the artists or kind of give back to them and show them you appreciate them. One is sending in cards to get signed, sending in a tip and some money to pay for that. Mm-hmm. Going to your local Magic Fest or Magic Fest across the United or across the world, as a matter of fact. Mm-hmm. There's so many artists that go to those, and just saying, hey, I really appreciate your artwork, and talk with them. Ask them, well, how did you get this idea? Oh. What did this spring to? And interesting story, and I hope I don't butcher your name, so I apologize if I do, but I think Christopher Muller, he did a lot of phenomenal artwork. He did Meddling Mage. He did the Lightning Bolt that's most commonly used. And he also did this card called Meddling Kids, which is an uncard of his card Meddling Mage. So I'm a big fan of getting uncards signed. Mm-hmm. And Christopher was at Magic Fest Detroit last year. And I met him. And I started to ask him questions because I love talking to the artists and kind of seeing like what they think about certain things. And so I asked him, I said, well, how did you come up with the Meddling Kids idea? Like it's so unique. It's really funny. And he said, believe it or not, I actually used my son as the model for all three of the kids. I'm like, what? He said, yeah. And he's like, well, would you like my son to sign it too? I'm like, sure, that'd be awesome. And so I got him and his son, who was the model of Meddling Kids, to both sign my copy. So I have multiple copies of Meddling Kids signed by the artist and the model for it. And I just thought that was really interesting. And I shared that story with some of the group. And ironically enough, Christopher Muller was at Magic Fest Columbus that we went to, the last Magic Fest we went to.
Yeah.
And I seen him there. And I said, hey, I know you probably don't remember me, but you told me the story about Meddling Kids. And I told that to people in some of the signed groups I'm part of. Mm-hmm. And he said, oh, well, we've had some requests for my son to sign cards, that we had so many requests that now in my book here, we just have copies my son signed when he can't make it with me. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy how word of mouth spreads so quickly.
That's insane.
So, and yeah, that's a big part. Get your cards signed if you're a big fan.
Yeah.
Prior to contrary belief that signed cards are not damaged cards. They're signed and they're very personal. And for those that are very, very not savvy with Magic cards, will say, oh, well, that's a damaged card. Well, and it's a very big community, the community of signed collectors. Those cards sometimes hold premiums.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to admit how much I paid for this brass man here, because Christopher Rush has passed away, and that was an expensive purchase. And it's not expensive to get your card signed either. Mm-mm. Usually a regular Sharpie is $2 to $5, or $2, $3, and to get it shadow signed, which maybe I can find an image online of a shadow signed card. We can put it on screen, but typically it's one signature and then a signature over in it, like making the other signature look like it's casting a shadow. It's very, very, very cool. And tip your artists when they sign your cards.
Oh, for
Buy
sure,
their merchandise.
Always.
Artists go to Magic Fest with play mats that you haven't seen before, that you didn't know existed. They go with art prints that they will sign. One of my favorite things I picked up at this past Magic Fest we went to was Tassipur the Golden Paw, and we'll put him on screen. I had some event ticks, and I cashed them in at the prize wall, and I got a Tassipur print, And Andrea Raddick was there, and I went up to her and I said, hey, would you be willing to sign this? And she was like, yeah, you don't have to pay me. But of course, I gave her a couple bucks as a tip because the fact that she was so willing to sign something that I got was, I really appreciated it. And Andrea Raddick is very, very cool person from when I talked to her. She did a lot of the cute little creatures in the secret layers. We'll put some on screen. She did Regal Caracol, and she did Miri, and she did the tokens, which I don't know the exact stats of the tokens, but she did the 2 tokens. And yeah, very cutesy style. And I think she has some cards in Theros too coming up, but I don't know what they are. So I think that's pretty good. I know I didn't really let you talk, but this
no, it's fine. It's just that like art really connects like a lot of people in Magic, especially from the players to the artists, which is a powerful thing that like artists can do. The fact that like they make people want to talk to them for their work, and it's just so cool to see how people are like start conversations and just like casually like, hey, how'd you do this? I'm curious. And how'd you come up with the idea as your Christopher Muller story? And it's just a really cool thing to see how these artists can create pieces like that connect us like to one another. It's an amazing thing.
Absolutely. And go compliment your artists. If you love their artwork, support them.
Always.
Buy their art prints. A lot of artists have stores with special stuff, special playmats. Original Magic Art is a website that some artists team up with them, and they have prints and exclusive stuff on there that you can buy. And they recently started this pre-order program with some exclusive playmats that people like you guys suggested, and you can help fund them. I know some of them are funded, like the Avison one, the Sig River Guide that the professor really wanted. That's got funded, and so go support your artists in any way possible. It helps them out a lot,
Always.
And it encourages them to keep doing what they're doing. So I think it's time we talk about something interesting outside of Magic. And today we just wanted to keep it simple and talk about something that another thing that we're both big fans of. So, Dungeons & Dragons. Specifically, I've been running a campaign for about 2 years. I've been DMing. The campaign is called The World of Urzala. And this has been a journey. About 2 years. And I'll tell you how slow it's been. They're only level 9 in 2 years. So it's been a very long journey, and I'm a big fan of telling stories. My group likes it too, thankfully, and Espen's part of them.
Oh yeah,
he's playing a Yuan-Ti Pureblood as his current character, and I'm very big on hitting milestones and telling a story. And sure, there's combat here and there, but I think if you're a good DM, you can tell a good story, and it's just as interesting as mindless combat. And I'm blessed that I have such a good group. You know, you, Patrick, Mike, and Kyle, you're all very serious role players. We have jokes and fun.
Oh yeah, always.
And there was this one meme where we have a character named Morg, and that's my cousin Kyle's character. He was destined to, well, one of our old players dipped his rope that he had in alcohol and had him taste it. And and this guy convinced Morg, who Morg's not the smartest, said this was created by the great wizard Alcohol. And I was like, man, I'm so angry. I don't want to deal with this. Well,
it came back.
And I was like, you know what? This has been a running gag for so long in the campaign that we're going to have the great wizard Alcohol show himself. And the Great Wizard Alcohol has a brother named Pepperjack. And as you can tell, Pepperjack is very good at making cheese. So, yeah, and there's this running meme in our group where Mike, his characters die. And they die a lot. And he has betrayed the party. He has done stupid stuff. And I'm a very fair DM, but I'm very punishing when you do something stupid. And in the last session we had, he made a deal with a lich to read a lich's spellbook. And yeah, I told him, I don't want your character to die, but the contract you signed with this lich, he was just gonna kill you. And
now Now, Mike is a really good D&D player.
Yeah, he knows.
He is phenomenal. He knows everything. Heck, I always go to him for like advice. I'm like, hey, how do I do this? Can you help me like set up my spells?
He's very smart book-wise, but he is goofy as heck when he plays his characters. This campaign's a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun. I've introduced a lot of interesting characters, and I'm pretty sure each of our members has a different favorite character. Espen, do you have a favorite character that I've created, or who is your favorite character?
Kaisoto.
Oh, well, that's the one you created.
Yeah.
You know what?
He didn't live that long.
What's your favorite NPC character?
Probably Stone.
Oh yeah, this is like the group's favorite character. They met this little orcish boy named Stone, and it just so happens that Stone has access to level 9 magic spells. The whole party is about to die, and he meteor stormed, and his favorite thing is to drop meteors on stuff. And he's a very simple boy. He is obsessed with Morg because Morg got this reputation of being invincible because he never went down in battle. So Stone is always in awe and will not listen to anyone. But he'll listen to Morg though. If Morg tells him you get out to go do something, Stone will go do it.
For sure.
So I think we've gushed a little bit enough. So we just wanted to thank again all the artists that do amazing work. And well, for the Brass Gaming Podcast, I'm Christian.
And I'm Espen.
And we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.